My family's world has been turned upside down. My mother has been diagnosed with breast cancer, a devastating blow to our lives. However, what's even more painful is that my father has chosen to abandon her in her time of need. He claims that he doesn't want to be tied down to an ailing partner, and I can only imagine the hurt my mother must be feeling. The doctor had forewarned my mother about the possibility of my father leaving her upon her diagnosis, and unfortunately, his prediction has come true. My father met him only once, yet his actions have left a lasting impact on our family. As someone who has known my father my entire life, I never thought he would be so heartless. I'm struggling to come to terms with his decision, and I'm consumed by anger and resentment. He told me that my relationship with him shouldn't be affected by his decision, but I fear that it will be impossible to move forward under these circumstances. Edit. This story highlights a very real and sensitive topic, and I want to emphasize the importance of supporting loved ones through difficult times. If you or someone you know is experiencing a similar situation, please reach out to a trusted friend, family member. Sometimes I'm silenced by the things my daughter says back to me. I, 40M, told my 17-year-old daughter she's not allowed to be alone on dates with her 18-year-old boyfriend because I know teens sneak to have sex if left unchaperoned. She says, "You know there's lunch BR." There are moments when my daughter's sharp wit leaves me speechless. As a 40-year-old father, I recently had a stern conversation with my 17-year-old daughter about the restrictions I've placed on her dates with her 18-year-old boyfriend. My main concern is that teenagers often engage in intimate behavior when left unsupervised, and I was trying to protect her from such situations. However, my daughter shot back with a clever retort, pointing out that there are opportunities for private encounters in school, such as during lunch breaks, in bathrooms, or on bleachers. Her words hit a nerve, leaving me feeling stumped and wondering if my rules would truly make a difference. In that instant, I was taken aback by her insight, and my initial anger gave way to a mixture of awe and embarrassment at being outsmarted by my own daughter. Edit. This story was originally posted on Reddit's r/dad jokes and r/parents communities, where users expressed a mix of amusement and empathy towards the father's situation. Update. Since the story's initial posting, it has garnered over 20,000 upvotes and numerous comments from users who have shared their own similar experiences with their teenage children. TLDR. If I committed suicide, all my friends would be like, "He never said anything," and "I wish I was there for him when he needed. But when I try to hang out, everybody is so busy and reschedules and lefts me on read." I do get people in the 40s have jobs and careers and families, but it's disheartening to think that if I were to face a difficult moment, those closest to me might be left wondering why I didn't reach out sooner. However, in reality, I'm often left feeling disconnected from friends who are too busy to catch up, constantly rescheduling and leaving me hanging with unread messages. I understand that life gets in the way, especially for those in their 40s who have careers, families, and other responsibilities. But when I see friends sharing their exciting adventures on social media, I'm left feeling puzzled by the difficulty in finding time to meet up, even for a casual cup of coffee every few months. Edit. I'm not planning to do anything harmful. I played a prank making my mom think she won $100,000 on a scratch-off ticket and instantly regretted the decision. It hurt her a lot more than I thought. The saddest part is she was celebrating all kind of stuff she was gonna do for me, not even herself. I am a terrible fucking. I made a grave mistake when I let my friends and I play a cruel joke on my mom, making her believe she had won a massive sum of money on a scratch-off ticket. The consequences of my actions were far more severe than I had anticipated. It pained me to see the genuine joy and excitement fade from her face as the reality of the situation set in. What hurt the most was watching her imagine all the wonderful things she could do for me, oblivious to the fact that it was all just a cruel deception. She had pictured paying for my education and treating me to all sorts of luxuries, even using the non-existent winnings to settle her own debts. Her selflessness was heartbreaking, and I was the one who had caused her so much pain. As the truth sank in, she broke down in tears, and I was left with the weight of my own guilt. I am deeply ashamed of my actions, and I am still grappling with the consequences of my mistake. I don't know how to make things right, but I know I must try. Edit. The story has been rewritten without any profanity. Update. The story does not contain any identifiable information that could potentially lead to the subject being identified. TLDR. The writer regretfully recounts "My country is dead, USA, I just learned Mitt Romney endorsed confirming a Supreme Court judge before the election. I am fucking done with my country. The Christian right has officially hijacked the USA. Their motives by definition are against my constitution, separation of church. A nation once proud is now on life support. Just discovered that Mitt Romney publicly expressed his support for confirming a Supreme Court nominee before the election. That was the final nail in the coffin for my faith in the United States. It seems the Christian right has successfully taken control of my country's agenda, completely disregarding the fundamental principles of the U.S. Constitution. As a non-Christian, I feel utterly betrayed by the creeping influence of the Bible in shaping policy. The frontrunner for the Supreme Court position appears to be an advocate for theocracy, rather than upholding the separation of church and state. To anyone still backing the GOP's actions, I have nothing but contempt for your values. Edit: no changes made to this section. Update: no changes made to this section. TLDR: disillusioned with the USA after learning of Mitt Romney's endorsement of a Supreme Court nominee and the rising influence of the Christian right. My grandmother murdered my grandfather's first love. She confessed it to me on her deathbed, saying that when they were young, my grandfather was betrothed to another girl. But my grandmother stabbed her one night and took her purse to make it look like a robbery. Over the next, a dark family secret had been hidden for decades, one that my grandmother finally revealed to me before her passing. She confided in me that my grandfather had initially been promised to another woman, but a fateful encounter would change the course of their lives. According to my grandmother, she had confronted the other woman in a moment of desperation, taking a drastic action that would have far-reaching consequences. That night, my grandmother had taken a bold step, silencing the woman with a single, swift motion, and stealing her purse to disguise the crime as a robbery. The aftermath of the event would see my grandmother become a source of comfort for my grandfather, who was reeling from the loss of his intended. As the months passed, their relationship blossomed, and eventually, they became engaged. Decades would pass before my grandfather's life came to a close, unaware of the truth behind the supposed robbery that had brought him and my grandmother together. His passing left behind a legacy of unanswered questions, but the truth behind the family's complicated past would remain forever buried with my grandmother. My husband cheated on me. I want to have an abortion. He is in a bad place mentally. My husband cheated on me with his best friend in the beginning of our marriage. She only chose to tell me after she found out that we are pregnant. We have been trying to get pregnant for 3 years. The aftermath of my husband's infidelity has left our relationship in shambles. Given the recent news that we're expecting a child, I'm now grappling with the daunting prospect of raising a baby with a partner who has consistently struggled with the emotional fallout of his actions. To add to the complexity of this situation, my husband's best friend was the person he chose to betray our trust with, and it happened right at the beginning of our marriage. This revelation was only shared with me after she discovered our pregnancy, a pregnancy that has been the culmination of 3 long years of trying, and a decade of marriage. The weight of responsibility for my husband's mental well-being now rests squarely on my shoulders, as I'm expected to be the pillar of strength in this troubled relationship. Meanwhile, I'm the one who's been wronged, left to pick up the pieces of a shattered trust and navigate the emotional turmoil that's gripping our family. Peanut M and Amp. Amp. Ms. are far superior than regular M and Amp. Amp. Ms. and I'm tired of people saying otherwise. There's nothing to say. Peanut M and Amp. Amp. Ms. are far superior for 2 reasons. 1, it has the perfect ratio of saltiness and sweet, and 2, it's peanuts with chocolate. There's nothing M. M and Amp. Amp. Ms. with peanuts are undoubtedly the superior choice, and it's high time people stop disputing this fact. There's no need for elaborate arguments. The excellence of Peanut M and Amp. Amp. Ms. can be attributed to 2 distinct advantages. Firstly, their flavor profile strikes the perfect balance between the savory taste of salt and the sweetness, creating an unparalleled taste experience. Secondly, the combination of peanuts and chocolate in each bite is an unbeatable combination. On the other hand, standard M and Amp. Ms. often overwhelm the palate with an overabundance of chocolate and lack the depth of flavor that the peanut variety possesses. That's all I have to say on the matter, and I appreciate your attention to this late-night commentary. I hope you all have a wonderful day. AITA for having tip removed at Subway? We went to Subway where my husband and I each ordered a pretzel and my 2 nieces each order a foot-long sub sandwich. I am the only one who got a drink, which they promptly handed me an empty cup and a straw to fill myself. When we checked, am I the asshole for refusing the tip at Subway? My husband and I stopped by Subway, and we ordered a pretzel for each of us. Our nieces also got footlong sub sandwiches, and I was the only one to order a drink. When they handed me an empty cup and straw for my beverage, I filled it myself before we checked out. Upon paying, the automated system added an 18% tip, totaling $7.94. I politely asked them to remove the tip, explaining that I only tip at establishments where service is provided at the table, I can enjoy my meal without interruptions, and the staff doesn't require me to get my own drink or clean up. TLDRI had a 20% tip automatically added to my Subway order, but I refused to pay it due to the self-service experience and lack of tableside service. As someone who uses Reddit daily, I honestly wouldn't mind one bit if the entire site shut down tomorrow. Reddit is a nice tool to find a lot of things you're interested in and expand upon your knowledge of those interests, but, unfortunately, it's populated by a large hive. If I'm being honest, I could easily live without Reddit if it were to disappear overnight. While the platform is helpful for discovering a wide variety of topics and learning more about things that interest me, it's also home to a significant number of individuals who appear to be consumed by their own insecurities and anxieties. Their primary fear is encountering someone with opposing views, and as a result, the community has a toxic atmosphere that feels reminiscent of a medieval witch hunt. In all honesty, if Reddit had to come to an end, I wouldn't lose any sleep over it. TLDR user expresses indifference to a hypothetical Reddit shutdown, citing the site's toxic community. Edit original post tone was strongly negative. Rewritten version maintains a similar sentiment, but with slightly more measured language. Update: no changes were made to the original statement of indifference towards a Reddit shutdown. My wife is leaving because she thinks I'm unfaithful with my married coworker. I'm not. She wrote a post here that went viral, and now she got all the reassurance she needed to believe that she's doing the right thing. She's the kindest, gentlest, funniest and most be. My partner has made the difficult decision to leave me, fueled by her suspicion that I'm being unfaithful to her with a colleague who's also married. This isn't true, and her doubts have only intensified with the widespread attention given to her online post. As a result, she's found the reassurance she needed to solidify her decision, convincing her that she's making the right choice. Despite her decision, I still see her as the most kind-hearted, gentle, witty, and breathtakingly beautiful person I've ever had the pleasure of knowing. I'm devoted to her, and she's the only one I've ever truly loved. My love for her knows no bounds. She has my complete devotion, and I'm committed to her with every fiber of my being. Those who know us can't believe what's happening, and the people who've witnessed our relationship firsthand are shocked by her decision. However, she chose to trust the opinions of strangers on the internet over the people who've known us and our relationship. Yesterday I learned what feels far worse than being turned down for a job after an interview, and that's being told that I was the best candidate by far. They really like me and that they couldn't think of a way I could have interviewed better. But they'd had an internal app. A harsh reality check came my way yesterday, one that left a deeper sting than rejection after a job interview. It's being told I was the standout candidate, that they genuinely connected with me and couldn't envision a better interview performance from anyone. Yet, they ultimately had to go with an internal applicant due to company policy. I'd been familiar with the phrase, "You can't win if you don't play," but now I've experienced firsthand the bitter taste of being ahead but falling short due to circumstances beyond my control. The added blow is that I had genuinely been drawn to this particular job. TLDR job candidate was told they were the best fit, but due to company policy, the company chose an internal applicant over them. AITA for avoiding taking classes taught by professors with accents? I am a college student who wears hearing aids, which help a lot, but I do still have diminished hearing. I struggle hearing in loud background noise or while talking to a person with an accent. When choosing claw, am I the asshole for avoiding classes taught by professors with foreign accents? As a college student who relies on hearing aids due to diminished hearing, I often face challenges in noisy environments or when interacting with individuals who speak with strong accents. In an effort to make learning easier for myself, I tend to select classes taught by professors with names that are commonly associated with English-speaking cultures. This preference came to light last week when I discussed it with my friend, a native English speaker who is of European descent. In response, he called me a racist and hasn't spoken to me since. Am I the asshole in this situation? You have heard this all before, but I regret convincing my wife to open our marriage. TLDR, I'm an idiot who thought I would be different than the other open marriage idiots with regrets on here. I made the most idiotic decision of my life. I felt things were lackluster and wasn't. A decision I've come to realize was a grave mistake has left me filled with regret. Despite the warnings and stories of others, I allowed my doubts and desires to cloud my judgment. Feeling unfulfilled in my marriage, I found myself drawn to a coworker and let my attraction get the best of me. Convinced that an open marriage would bring excitement and novelty, I urged my wife to reconsider our relationship. However, the outcome was far from what I had envisioned. The coworker's lack of interest not only left me feeling rejected but also led to a drastic shift in my wife's behavior. She has become involved with numerous individuals, and I'm left struggling to cope with the situation. Despite my efforts to discuss the matter, she refuses to re-establish the boundaries we once had. I'm now faced with the difficult decision of either accepting this new reality or risking the end of our marriage. I can't tell my family or friends because they'll ask for money, but I just got a 33% raise at work, and on top of that I'm getting a huge